Hey, it's Nudia from Nudia in the Afternoons, here backstage at Lollapalooza, here with Mahalia. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so happy. Thanks for stopping by.
Of course.
Okay, so I actually want to start off with an icebreaker.
Okay.
I had about how I discovered you.
Yes.
So during the pandemic, okay, I feel like you're going to be able to relate with me on this story, all right? So during the pandemic, the person I thought I was going to end up being in a relationship with, my ex, I thought we were going to get back together.
Yeah.
He ended up quarantining with another girl. I know. It's really sad now,
What?
but I mean, it's kind of funny. Yeah. So he ended up quarantining with another girl. And I was heartbroken, so I Googled, this is actually really embarrassing, I Googled songs about hating your ex.
Aww.
And
what did you find?
The first song that popped up was I Wish I Missed My Ex.
Aww.
That was the first song, and then that's kind of how
Is that
I
how you
discovered
found me?
you. Yes.
Oh, that's
how I
amazing.
first heard you. And then, you know, even though the song didn't relate to my situation at all, you know, it has a very like choir feel, and very like you feel like you're not alone when you listen to that song. For sure. So I was like bumping it in my room like the whole day, and my family's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, no. And so that's kind of how I discovered that song.
I love that. I really love that. I mean, it's funny whenever people come to me, particularly about that song, because I think when I wrote it, I was kind of like, I don't even know if I didn't hate the guy. I just didn't want to be with him anymore. Yeah. And if anything, I feel like when I wrote it, I was kind of like, this is fine. I'm not being mean. I'm like, you know, I'm just kind of saying, damn, I wish I missed you. But then when I put it out and he came to me and was like, this is horrible. I was like, really? Is it? And then when I had all these girls coming to me going, that song helped me get over my ex, I was like, oh my God, did I really?
Yeah, it's very therapeutic.
But I love that.
Because I was wondering, because you write a lot of songs about your personal relationships and experiences.
Yeah.
So I always wondered about that song, how he felt about it.
He was horrified. He was horrified because I think we were kind of like, I mean, I'm really, really open anyway. I was always brought up to kind of not be afraid
very honest.
of... Yeah.
Very honest.
And I find like, I've always found it hard to kind of not overshare or not kind of share exactly what I'm going through. So with him, we had been high school love. So we were like, you know, like we liked each other in school, and then it never really went away for like 7 or 8 years. He was my Hey Stranger guy. Okay. He was the guy that would pop up like every 6 months, say Hey Stranger, and I would completely fall back into the little
cycle.
The cycle.
Of, you know.
I was going to say trap, but cycle's better. And then we ended up finally getting together and being together, but then this time it was me that was like, I want to end the cycle. And then it was like, oh, you're lovely. I wish I missed you, but I don't, essentially.
Yeah, which I love, because it's usually the other way around, you know, like songs are like, I want you to call me, and you're like, you're calling me too much. Like, I'm trying to do my own thing. Like, please back off. Yeah. So do you have that a lot where maybe romantic partners or people you were involved with come back and they're like, this is a song about me? Is this like, you know, do they come to you a lot and you're like, this song's about me, huh?
Well, yes. Well, not so much anymore, because we are not in contact, and I think I ensure that there is no contact, but it has happened before, and when it's happened, I have to be honest, I would never tell a man the truth. If a guy came to me about a song and said this is about me, I would say it's not. Just because I think like the being able to write music about people that cause me pain is my superpower, and I don't want them to have any part of that, and I don't want them to feel any sort of power from that, so I would never tell a guy. But I do love when they come and they guess.
It's a nice ego boost, right? And so could you explain so you said there's a different version, because in the US it's what are you doing? Hey you up, you know? And you said there's a different...
Hey stranger.
There's a different version, or like, come over, babe, or so like, what is it?
There's a Hey Stranger, or there's Hey Big Head is another one. It's kind of, I think it's that kind of like playful flirtiness that's meant to be like friends flirting, but it's not. Or what else is there? I think the most common one is Hey Stranger.
Hey Stranger?
Yeah, like I like literally wrote a song last week about like, and I called it Hey Stranger, about when a guy comes and says Hey Stranger.
Oh,
and it's usually when he's just come out of a relationship, or he's feeling a bit lonely, or he's
looking for some company.
Yeah,
he's looking
it's
for
that
you
kind of situation. You must have had that.
I mean, maybe once or twice, But so, we're talking about like guys and relationships, and I want to know if this story is true. So,
oh my God,
about you standing up someone. You're not romantically, but I heard that you stood up Kendrick Lamar. Is that true? Is that true?
Not in those words.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
Do you know what?
You stood up Kendrick Lamar for a meeting?
No. Oh my
God.
Cup
of coffee?
No. I swear to God. No. Everybody. So this story has really gone through the wood. Okay. This story has gone from here to here to here. So there was a time. So when I used to live in London, when I was like, I want to say that I was like 20, maybe.
Okay.
So I'm 24 now. Just turned. I might have
years
been
ago. Yeah. She's learned in the past 4 years.
So I have always been a fan of Kendrick since I was a kid. I think like he's just always been someone in my life that has been like a love of my family, and we've all kind of bonded over him and his music. And I was working with Soundwave, and Soundwave's an incredible producer who I met when I was making my first album. He'd done a lot of work with Kendrick. We were working in London, and now context. At this time I had no money. I wasn't living anywhere solid. I was kind of sofa surfing. I was like, basically like every time I was in the studio during my time writing, I was working out where I was staying that night. So it was either friends. Sometimes I'd go back to Leicester, where I'm from. Sometimes I would stay in a hotel if I could afford it. Sometimes I would literally just work it out. So this night in particular, I was having to leave London and get back to my hometown, which is from the studio that I was at, door to door is about a 3-hour journey.
Okay, so that's a journey.
Right. So I'm upstairs in a studio, Kendrick's downstairs. I find out he's there. Somebody comes up and says, look, Kendrick wants to meet you. I was like, oh my God. Bearing in mind, I've got my suitcase in my hand. I'm about to leave, right? Because I need to get on the last bus to get to King's Cross Station.
Okay, so you're taking a bus. Okay.
Right.
We know about that in Chicago. Okay, we get on a lot of buses.
Yeah, so a bus to the station to get home, blah, blah, blah. Also, when you have like a fixed ticket, you can't change what train you get on.
You picked the bus.
Right.
You picked the bus over meeting Kendrick.
No. I met him.
Oh, you met him? I met him.
So I went downstairs, I chatted to him. I remember he said, hey, miss. And I said, hey. And I was really scared. And then I literally just said it was so great to meet you, but I've got to run and get on the bus. But he was working on his record.
Okay.
So I actually think
he was busy.
Yeah. But
so how did it turn into the story that you
I've got no idea, because I think I one time said to somebody that I left, and I think people are like, whoa, so you stood Kendrick up? And I'm like, no, I met him, and I would love to meet him again. And like that was also, it was such a different time. And when I think about it, to be honest, when I think about that story, if anything, it makes me, it's a reminder of what a humble time that was, and a time where I couldn't stay and meet Kendrick because then how would I get home,
Yeah. And
so I don't think it's a regret, because at some point I'm going to meet him and I'm going to get to spend more time with him, because that was when it was supposed to happen.
I feel that. I feel that. I feel what you're saying, because it all happens organically, the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have time to sit there. Like, he didn't really have time.
He didn't have
recording.
time.
You didn't have time to sit there and have this long chat and things like that. And the struggle is real.
Yeah.
The struggle is real. Like, you need to get on this bus. Okay, we've cleared that up. So I wanted to talk to you about this Adele concert that happened.
My
the BTS at Hyde Park. And so she handpicked you, correct, to be a part of that?
Yeah.
Adele handpicked you. Like, how did that feel?
I think that's probably one of the highlights of my existence.
I mean, that's fair.
To be honest, fair. I think with any artist, it just depends who they are to you and what they did for you. And I think when Adele first came out, she was 19. And it was the first album, 19, that I think I bought. It was the first album I ever bought. So the first album I ever took like change, like money in my hand, went to the shop and purchased it. And I remember there were a couple songs on there. There was this song called Daydreamer that was just so beautiful. It was just her voice and a guitar. And that is the song that made me want to start playing the guitar. Outside of, I loved music anyway, and I kind of always knew that I was going to sing. But the idea that I could make music with my hands and then sing at the same time came from Adele. And it's not even that I ever saw her playing the guitar, but there was this song that just resonated with me as a kid.
Inspired you.
Yeah. And so then you kind of move on from that, 12, almost 13 years later. And I'm finally getting a moment where I'm like, oh, it's Adele. Like, I think I've waited for that moment since forever,
So what is it like to get a call like that? Like, what do you do? Like, after a call like that, what do you do with yourself, I
don't know what I did. I don't know where I was. I think I got a message from my manager saying this might happen.
Oh, okay.
She said she had heard through somebody else that Adele had picked a few girls to be on the lineup, and my manager said I have a pretty good feeling based on what somebody said that your name's in there, and I think I was like, that's amazing, but I think I also
you try not to get your hopes up, right?
And also like a few of these things have happened before and it's kind of gone away, so I think you just kind of have to go, that's cool if it happens, oh my gosh, but yeah. And then when it came through, I cried a lot. I cried a lot on the day as well. I cried before my set. I cried after my set. It was all very messy.
A ball of emotions. Yeah. I mean, that's fair, though. Those are fair emotions for sure. If there's a time to cry, it's definitely when Adele picks you as an artist.
Also, when Adele sings, she came on stage singing Hello. And I just cried.
The most emotional song in all of history.
I just cried and cried and cried. My mum so the real special thing about it was that my mum came up to me during Adele's show. She was absolutely bawling her eyes out. And my mum was just like, we did it. And I was like, oh.
You're like, I can't.
We did. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So I think when hearing my mum say that also reminds me that it was a big thing, and I wasn't just thinking like, this woman has been a huge part of my journey. It was a huge thing.
Well, because I think for parents, they sacrifice a lot.
Yeah.
And they will do anything to help you achieve your dreams.
Yeah.
So when it happens, we're really out here at Hyde Park. You know?
Yeah.
And so moving on, I know that our digital producer Morgan, shout out to Morgan. She's not here today, but shout out to Morgan. She's going to be watching this. We did a release roundup in May, and so we pick new singles or new albums that have dropped, and she put yours, of course, your EP Letter to My Ex, and she featured, I know she said she liked In the Club, and of course Letter to Your Next, and stuff. And so watching that video, it's very interesting, and hearing the song, it's very interesting because it doesn't even feel like a song.
Is this Letter to Your Next?
Yeah, Letter to Your Next.
Yeah, I get that.
Was that the intention when you made that track?
So obviously, because Letter to Your Next follows Letter to Your Ex, I wanted them both to feel like I was speaking, like I was having a conversation. So when I say I think in that, so I'm really bad at reciting my own lyrics. I don't know why. But in Letter to Your Next, when I say, when he told you about the breakup, did he blame me? Did he tell you I was crazy? I think that is something that I would literally write down and send in a message. So I wanted, particularly with those two songs, I wanted them to feel like I was genuinely having a conversation with the person listening. Like I was just saying this really long, maybe like a minute and a half monologue that was just kind of pouring out everything I felt. And I have to say that over the past few years, I think post COVID and post my album coming out and kind of losing all that time getting to have fun with my album, my first album, I think I kind of got a bit lost. Last year I put out a bit of music, which I will always be proud of my music. I'll never, bag on myself, but I think I got a bit lost and I got a bit confused about what I wanted to make as an artist. And so this year, Letter to Your Ex and Next is my proudest moment, I think, over the past few years. It's felt like I've really come to a place where I understand my voice and I understand what I have to say as an artist, as a woman, as an ex, as a friend, like in the club, just as a person.
Yeah.
I kind of know where I'm at, and yeah, so that's lovely that you guys included that, because I'm like super proud of it.
Oh no, of course we play a ton of your music.
Oh,
we
good.
were all really excited when we knew that we were doing this interview. Yeah, everyone was excited when we knew we were having you, and we're backstage at Lollapalooza, and you're actually, this is pretty weird, you're doing this interview before you go on.
Yes.
So are you nervous about hitting the stage, or do you have any like pre-ritual performance things that you do?
My pre-ritual is just silence. It's like,
I feel that.
Yeah, like it's like real, don't talk to me, which I think just purely comes from it's a coping mechanism to calm nerves. I'm definitely nervous. I've not performed in the States since since my album came out, so the end of 2019.
Oh, before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's been a minute.
Yeah, it's
and
mad.
you're here for a while because you're back in Chicago.
Yes,
next
in
month,
September.
Right? Yeah,
I am back. Lincoln Hall.
Yeah.
So I'm here right now, flying to Montreal, going home, and then I'm back out in like a few weeks.
Oh, so you're not staying. You're back and forth.
I need to go back because I need to finish my second album.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any, time frame? When
do you know what? I would love to give you one, but I think if I gave you one and it changed,
You're right.
I would freak out.
Yeah.
So, but what
then
I
I'd
know
put
is
out a rumor that you lied to me, like the Kendrick rumor. Like it'd be a big rumor again.
But I know that it's. I'm like tickling the end.
Okay.
So this is the most stressful part, because I'm like, there's a couple more things that I haven't really like found yet that I'm searching for,
Okay.
Being an artist is long.
I mean, we see what you guys go through.
The creative process is long.
And now, last thing before you head out, thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
I know before we started recording, you talked about your rocket ship tattoo.
Yeah.
And how, we were talking about tattoos that we have that we're like, maybe we shouldn't have gotten that.
Yeah.
So have you made up an interesting story? Because you just have a little rocket ship. And you're just like, I don't know why this is here. I put this here, but I don't know why.
Have I got a story for it?
Yeah, no, I'm like, have you made up a story or like have some type of meaning?
My story is just, I got this when I was 17. Just so everybody knows, that's why it's terrible, But everything else does actually have a story. Everything else does
have a meaning.
Yeah, but the rocket no.
So do you say maybe when you're 17, hold off on the tattoo?
Absolutely.
Maybe wait a little bit.
And I got it with my best friend. So whenever we see each other, we're like, woo.
Rocket ships. We're going to the stars.
Yeah, it's just not very cool, but it's my first tat. But I'll probably get rid I can't have that on my wedding day. I think I'll be getting rid of that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally get it.
But yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you on stage. We'll be excited to see you perform.